Again, Stormy Daniels will take the stand, and in a courtroom where many legal analysts say the judge has completely lost control, the jury being prejudiced. Let's welcome in our expert panel now. Pleased to have the state chair of the Delaware Republican Party, also attorney Julianne Murray with us, and also with us, former federal prosecutor Doug Burns. Welcome in, panel. It is great to have you in today. A lot to get into.
Thank you.
Yes, indeed.
Yes, exactly. So let's begin. You know, the jury can't unhear what they heard yesterday, what we all kind of heard through, the reports of these sexual encounters, some of which he had in the past had contradicting statements on, saying, I never did this or that with Trump. But I think the question I have for you both, they wanted a mistrial, and the judge was like, no, okay, Juan Merchan not inclined to do anything to help Trump. But he did say some things are left better unsaid in his at the end there. So when he tried to blame the defense for not objecting enough, I'll go to you first, Doug. So was this something that Trump's attorney should have been jumping all over? I mean, it's done. We're there. But how could this have happened and gone off the rails?
No, that's a little bit of a misconcept. In other words, they have what we trial lawyers call a standing objection. They objected to her being called in the first place. They objected throughout. So on appeal, it's clear that they've preserved their objections. And it was actually the judge just being frustrated at his own conduct, in my opinion, and trying to blame them. It had nothing to do with the defense lawyers. One of the absolute most basic principles of evidence law is that if the probative value of a piece of evidence is outweighed by its prejudice to the defendant, then it shouldn't be admitted. This could be taught in every law school as a classic example of that, and it should never have been admitted into evidence. Really disgraceful.
So from the outset, they were already set up to fail when he said, we'll allow this. This was sort of a loss for them. But appeal, again, a lot of folks are saying, they really don't care about the appeal. We know they just want to kind of get him on some type of charge here. And we also learned this. Susan Hoffinger, the prosecutor leading the questioning of Stormy Daniels, it was a female. It wasn't Matthew Colangelo, the former number 3 at the DOJ. Well, how about this? She donated to President Joe Biden's campaign in 2020, just like Judge Juan Merchan. Why so many people here are looking at this saying this is a huge conflict, Julianne?
It is. And, and in terms of the whole Stormy Daniels testimony, I agree with Doug completely. They had a standing objection. And, and when you're in trial, you have to make a decision about how much attention you want to call to it. They've already preserved it. And from from an appellate standpoint, you have to preserve your objection. They did that. This is clearly more prejudicial than probative. This is, her testimony should not have been allowed. It's not relevant to the charge of the falsification of the documents. So, I mean, in terms of the appeal, I think it's solid. But I understand the point also, we don't want to deal with Trump being convicted on something. That's right. What they want. And, and so all of this smoke, all of these conflicts are a problem. But unfortunately, I think that, the best thing for us will be if the jury sees this for what it is. We only need one.
Yes.
One juror.
Great point.